Before we kick this off, I want to thank Long Tuning and Simpledyno for sponsoring this year's Bonneville effort, and Mitutoyo Scandinavia. I think Mitutoyo America is on board too, but so far, thank you Mitutoyo Scandinavia. Breganor, all my viewers, everybody who has been helping out, and a new sponsor, Vanworks. And they've sent me a bunch of cool stuff here I'm going to show you. This Bonneville thing is expensive because me and Per, the pilot, were located in Norway. So the flying and all that costs a lot. And I'm still kind of strapped for cash because of how things have been up until recently. So any support is much appreciated. There's t-shirts in my Teespring shop. Just Google Two-Stroke Stuffing Teespring. And any donation, any sponsoring is so welcome and needed. So thank you. Thank you for all the support so far. Vanworks do accessories for your company car. So that's storage systems, work lighting, load securing and protection, ventilation, chargers, batteries, inverters, and accessories. There's a discount code here. I'll share that with you guys. Flyer discount _ 5.5%. Vanworks.eu. They've sent me an assortment of load securing stuff, some straps, and there's rail system. First, here's a few different rail profiles. You can see like this one is flush mount where it protrudes into the wall. This one is kind of curved and black. This one is the same as this but not flush mount. And this is the same as the black one but bare aluminium. Nice. And how this works, and they've also sent me 4 of these, which will come in handy for mounting on, well, I can think of a bunch of uses for like we'll need to make a trailer for the streamliner. These can be for mounting the streamliner onto the trailer. I can use them for mounting on the dyno. I can even cut pieces off and have them be part of the streamliner or a bike. And as you can see, I can then have a flush system where I can attach various mounting points like these. So how this works, it's super simple. Like it's spring loaded. So you slide this in like this, you push it in and slide over. And now you have that mounted there. And here's an example with a hook, like that, for hanging stuff. And here's a more sturdy thing, also quick release. So you just pull this up and slide, and it's locked. Same deal here. Even sturdier. Straps, and of course the straps come with the same system. So you just push them in like this, slide over, and they lock in. So super easy to position straps. Normal bolts, so you can bolt stuff to the rails. Awesome, thank you Vanworks. Thank you for sponsoring this year's Bonneville effort, and thank you for helping out. Welcome back to my garage. This video might come out before the first part of this year's Bonneville adventure video. Depending on how fast I can make it edited and all that. Today, well, we're gonna start out. We'll see where we end up, but the first thing I was meant to do was create a new head. I'll bring you in closer here. This is one of the head inserts we're running. 14.5 to 1 compression ratio. And I was gonna machine up in case my tighter stinger theory I've talked about does not work. I was gonna machine up some higher compression heads, but then I found this one. And it's, from the looks of it, it's probably around 18 to 1. So that's perfect for a higher compression head for Bonneville. Well, the thing is, I can't remember when or why I made this. Could have been 3 years ago when we went back to Bonneville with the old engine. It's the same height, like this stub is the same height as these heads. I know for the Yamaha 50, the old engine head, it's higher. So this has to be, I have to have made this one to fit these head covers, the new ones. So, well, I'm really not sure when I machine this, but it's great. And I can see I've run it on methanol and nitro because of the corrosion here. It's not bad, like you can't feel this, but it's the surface is discolored. Anyway, so that's sorted. Now we're going to work on stinger inserts, and these are the inserts I've been running. I've got 15 in a box here, 16, 17, and then 18. We won't need anything larger than 16. Actually, from crude calculations on gas, we'll probably need something between 13 and 14 millimeters actually. So that's our problem, because this is the only one we ran last year before we switched to the longer pipe. And we couldn't get this to rev, and that's because the hole is too large. I don't have material for these now. The closest I've got is this, but it's too small. It just occurred to me that if I split this here, there's enough room in there to create a little, like a pocket for something of this diameter to fit into. It doesn't have to be the whole width. I'm going to start off by splitting this and create that little pocket in there. Yep. It's a nice, tight but loose fit, so that's perfect. I should stop being lazy and put the camera in a better position. Hang on. And voila! We got stingers all the way from 17, 16, 15, and then down to 13.2. So 13.2, 13.5, 14, 14.5, 15. So somewhere in here should be good for Bonneville. On gas at least. On methanol and nitro. I almost forgot about this. I made this, it's a shift light. Well, not really a shift light. It's you've run out of gear light. It's just a flashlight. I replaced the button here with this wire, so we can have an external switch, and that'll be an end stop. So when we run out of gear in the variator, run out of variator, it'll, well, that's the thing. There's some stupid logic in here which makes it alternate between flashing or just lighting up, but that doesn't matter. It means the same thing. I'm pretty sure Per will be able to manage if this starts flashing or if it's just lit up. It means we're close to running out of gear, because with belt stretch and all that, we can't set it to a, we can't have an end stop that actually stops the linear actuator, because there might be a little bit more left because of belt stretch and all that. But this will tell Per that you're at the end. There's no point in going much further now, because you'll just start slipping the belt. The reason I went with this flashlight and internal battery and all that is so I won't have to wire this into the main loom. It'll be a standalone unit. It's much easier to mount. So you might remember the previous mount broke off, and I don't have the mounting bracket for the engine here to know where the mount should sit. Well, I know roughly where it should be. And also I don't have the bike here, so I can't clock this in the orientation I want. So I'm just gonna weld on a new mount in roughly the same location, and we'll have to modify the bracket to suit, which shouldn't be a problem. Like fit up is still important, even with a laser welder. It's not as crucial as with a TIG, because you won't blow holes as easily, it seems, but it's still important. Of course it is. Okay, so that's the pipe ready to go again. I've been thinking more and more about stinger size and why, and just stinger related thinking, and why I think even more stuff strengthening my hypothesis about my theory. About the thing is, it's not a theory, you know. A theory is something that's after the hypothesis. But why I think that's the problem? Because in a cold gas, how does a cold gas act? A cold gas acts like a cold gas. It's low viscosity. What happens when that gas heats up? It gets higher viscosity. At the speeds we're talking and the heat we're talking back here, which is like comparable to up here actually, because of the shape, how it gets compressed into here. That gas has high viscosity. That gas is probably closer to water than it is to air. So imagine this comparison I've prepared here. Imagine yourself blowing through this straw, piece of tubing, and memorize the resistance you feel. And then do the same thing through this cup of water. And the resistance is much higher, because you have to push through the higher viscosity fluid. Now imagine this fluid is also higher viscosity, so it's water in the... Actually, I should have done the test with water in here. Continuous supply of water that I had to blow through. It's hard to do, because I have to puke. But you get the point. The point is, in this configuration, without a stinger tube at all, this has to be much smaller versus what it would have been with a piece of stinger here. And that's even if that piece of a stinger tube or like exit tube is much larger, like this piece. Because this piece contains that hot gas coming out of here, and the new hot gas coming out of the orifice has to push through that hot gas. And I think that's kind of what's happening over at my dyno with the exhaust extraction. Because you might have noticed how first you'll think, okay, this is sucking on the exhaust, and that's true at low RPM. At higher RPM, I have to keep this from tipping over, like it has to be constrained, otherwise it'll fly off, because it creates back pressure, and that means there's buildup of hot exhaust gas in here, and what exits the stinger has to push through. So this kind of semi acts as a stinger pipe in a way. It makes the stuff coming out of the stinger orifice, the venturi, have to push through hot exhaust gas versus just spread out into atmosphere. So now we have multiple things contributing to why we need a much smaller stinger up at Bonneville at the higher elevation versus back home here. Let's bring out the old blackboard. Stinger size is a function of, that's an F, horsepower. And I know Fritz Overmars uses the equation 3. I think it's 1. The number has been changing throughout the years. I'm not sure if this is a Blair thing actually, but it's 3.1, 3.05, something like that. And the square root of horsepower. Simple as that. That's a good starting point for a stinger restriction size, not for a long stinger tube. That's what I'm doing, like a short little restriction. So that's the first thing. So horsepower, and at Bonneville elevation we have much less horsepower, because we're probably losing 25% at least up there. And that changes throughout the day. So early morning, when it's not as hot and the humidity hasn't started coming out of the salt, the crust, it's better. As we progress throughout the day, it gets hotter, more humidity, and actually effective elevation will double throughout the day up there. So that's the first thing. So this means we need so this number will be around 25-30% lower, and we'll end up with a tighter stinger already. Then there's the lower pressure after the stinger. So lower atmospheric at ATMP. And that's going on behind the here, like here, everywhere here. That's lower. So that means there's less horsepower, so less gas coming through the pipe. There's also lower pressure outside of the exit, the stinger exit. So there's the pressure differential is lower. Regardless of the horsepower, there's a lower pressure to push into outside of the stinger. So that's the second thing. And then there's the third thing, which I've been talking about now. And that's how, without something to contain the hot gases here, whoops, the hot gases here, the difference, and that's not really, if I did this, if I didn't run with the exhaust extraction back home, this wouldn't matter. But it does, cause I do, and I've always done that, and I need to, cause I can't really run it open air in here. So that means this, like, no extraction. Because the extraction does extract, but it constrains or constrains the hot gases, and it's actually some resistance at higher RPM. So that's another thing contributing to the same stinger size. So without the extraction, without the containment, with the lower atmospheric pressure here, and with the lower horsepower, stinger size needs to be substantially smaller than what at least I would think. So that's what's going on here. There's several, there's probably more, but there's many factors contributing here, strengthening my hypothesis. A fourth thing is at high speed at Bonneville, the air around here is rapidly carried away, so it's even less restrictive than just a pipe standing still in atmospheric pressure. So what we're gonna do we run tighter stingers, of course, to make it more consistent, to make this not behave like the stinger will get larger and larger at higher and higher speed, to try to prevent that. We're gonna create a little stinger pipe, little, like a fat one, but this will be to contain the hot gases after the stinger restriction. So it's not meant to restrict, it's just meant to contain the hot gases, to make the restriction more efficient, to have the hot gas coming out of here, have to push through hot gas in here, and it'll be consistent, fairly consistent regardless of speed, bike speed. That seems to be working extremely well, actually. So much easier than what I thought. There's pretty much no pressure at all. I think that turned out a little too loose, so I think I want to turn down the mandrel a little bit. It's a millimeter, roughly a millimeter gap. Let's bring that mandrel down 1 millimeter and I'll be back. I think I'll just do the other end. So that's better. Okay, let's get that hole in there. This. That's 15.6. There. That'll give us, hopefully, give us a more consistent stinger experience. Now there should be a column of hot exhaust gas here for the stinger restriction to flow into, and speed out here shouldn't matter that much because of this tube. That's it.